Hello, my brothers in Christ. 'Tis I, Antonio D'Amico. This is Pointy Hat, and welcome to D&D with a twist. I take a D&D thing, could be a class, could be a race, could be a freaky little monster. We look at it for a minute, and then we give that thing a twist so you can use it in your own games. It's like a funhouse mirror, except the only ones having fun here are the ones that like adding weird stuff to their games. So when I think of clerics, I think of... Cleric is the class for mum friends and people who only play healers in video games. Clerics are the poster child for healers in D&D, but make no mistake, they can very much bring the pain while keeping those good heals coming. Never underestimate the level of pettiness required for someone to go healer for fun. Okay, so before I say anything else, I gotta level with y'all here. This one right here, this is my favorite. I love this. Cleric is my favorite class in the game, followed by bards, and I'm gonna let you know exactly why. But first... Long ago, back when the world was new, a tree rose high above all others. Its branches became the home of not just people, but also dragons, which is how the tree gained the name of Wormwood. Extremely skilled artisans traveled to the tree and used the legendary wood of its trunk to create all sorts of incredible magical items coveted the world over by many collectionists. Among these items, you could find dice vaults, incredible gaming tables, and dice. Dice like you've never seen before. Wormwood has resin dice, perhaps made out of the very resin of the famed wormwood tree. Available in 7 different colorways, coming in sets of 7 with 3 extra D6s, with the wormwood tree carved on the 6th face of the 6-sided dice. For those that enjoy that clean, crisp look, or just need their dice to hurt more if they step on them, Wormwood also sells sharp-edged resin dice. The famed crafters at Dispel Dice have made them in 8 unique colorways this time, which is famously a bigger number than 7. Available as a set of 7 dice, as 3d6s, or as 1d20 for that extra blink to your attack rolls with advantage. And finally, but no less important, Wormwood also has their very own gemstone dice, extracted from the rarest gemstones hiding away among the roots of the wormwood tree. These come from 8 completely different stones like raised obsidian, prismatic glass, opalite, and more. And are available as a set of 7 dice, 3d6s for those rogues that need more blink to their sneak attack, or a lone d20 to be the literal crown jewel of your set. If you want to be the owner of one of the famed Wormwood dice sets, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this very video. The ravens that live on the branches of the Wormwood travel far and wide. For a domestic order, that is, an order within the United States, enter the code Pointy Hat to get free shipping and a completely free set of resin dice for orders of $50 or above. But do not worry, if neither you nor your order is domestic, which again means outside of the US, enter the code PointyHatINT, as in international, and you'll get a $10 shipping discount and a completely free set of resin dice for orders of $50 or greater. And may the branches of the wormwood keep you cool in the summer and dry in the winter. Back to the video. So clerics are full casters, like wizards or warlocks or sorcerers or bards or druids or whatever, full casters, but their magic is not arcane. Clerics have divine magic. Traditionally, clerics worship a god, and that god grants them superpowers, just like clerics in real life. But don't get it twisted, you can very much play a cleric that does not worship a god. Yes, Fedora tippers, you're in luck. It's explicitly stated that clerics can get their powers from philosophies and ideals, which, not sure how those are divine in nature, but okay. This kinda dips into the concept of the paladin getting magic from making oaths, but the option is there if you want it, so go ahead and take it. In terms of combat, clerics are healers, but not healers in the video game sense of the word. They are healers because they get access to healing spells, and specifically both Resurrection and Revivify. But the class has been designed for you not to spend all your time babysitting health bars. With spells like Spirit Guardians and Spiritual Weapon, you can ensure that you do damage every round, even if your action or bonus action is taken by healing if you need to. Which makes clerics busy and relatively complex to play for new players, but it also makes them like an extremely strong class. Like they're just super strong. This is what, to me, makes them so fun to play. I told you they were my favorites, so you know, bias here is indeed present, but it's for good reason. Clerics get a ton of spells that damage and bring some super strong utility, with their spell list getting some of the strongest spells in the game, as well as a bunch of abilities that can both support the party and debuff your enemies. And speaking of abilities, let's get into them. Lightning round.
Lightning round.
Spellcasting. Clerics get the complicated and better version of this. You get every spell on your list, and every morning you get to prepare the spells you have for the day. You just talk to your crystals in the morning and ask whatever god you're simping for to borrow some of them for the day. Oh, and ritual casting. They get that. Neat. Channel Divinity, the signature ability of the cleric. It's fun and quirky, you know, you just
call forth the divine power of godhood to exert their will over the mortal realm and assist you in your holy crusade.
You know, just cleric things. Your cleric subclass will give you more uses for your channel divinity, but the vanilla use that all clerics get is turn undead, where you quite literally put the fear of God into any undead that can see you and make them spend all their turn trying to get away from you. Situational? Yes. The most metal thing in D&D? Also yes. Harness Divine Power allows you to turn your channel divinity into spell slots, like some sort of farming management game. This is fine, it can probably get you out of a pinch once or twice, whatever. Destroy Undead takes turn undead and makes it even cooler. If the undead fail their saving throw against the effect and their CR is below a certain number that scales as you go up in level, the undead just explodes. Yep, you show up and zombies just combust into flames in front of your divine presence. Heal Hoomst. And finally, Divine Intervention. And this one is weird. Basically, you call your Sky Sugar Daddy and ask for a favor. Roll a percentile die, and if the number is equal or lower to your level, your deity intervenes. How? Who knows? Yes, this is one of them open-ended up to DM's interpretations kind of abilities, and I'm not wild about it. The example they give is that your god just casts a spell from the cleric's spell list, which, okay, kind of painfully boring, especially since this is your capstone ability, and once you use it, you have to wait a whole 7 days to use it again, because you do not want your god to think you're clingy or something. I guess you could cast a 9th level spell with this, although you can't cast Wish because it's not a cleric spell, so whatever. But the ability is worded as such that you could ask for something else, another type of intervention. So basically, this is as good as your DM allows it to be. Oh, and at level 20, it always works, no more percentile miss. Neat. And those are the baseline cleric abilities. Not many of them, but that's because the true flavor of the cleric comes with their subclasses. Cleric subclasses are called domains. D&D assumes that you're playing with a polytheistic pantheon, like the Greek, Egyptian, or Norse pantheons in our world. That means that gods rule over certain domains, like how Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty, or Isis is the goddess of magic. A cleric's divine domain reflects that, so let's take a look at some of them. First off, let's get the vanilla choice out of the way. The life domain is the domain of heavenly healer mains. It sure heals. It heals a lot. Oh boy, does it heal. The flavor for the life domain is literally about good vibes only, and clerics of this domain are tasked with protecting and using vitality to heal the sick and needy. The JRPG girlies have cornered this part of the market, and they are ruthless to those that want to snatch some of it, so be warned, they'll come for you. This is their turf. Tread carefully. They are dark, vicious creatures. All domains get a list of extra spells that you always have prepared, and the life domain spells are, you guessed it, primarily healing and buffing spells, with stuff like Cure Wounds, Bless, Beacon of Hope, Lesser Restoration, Revivify, and Mass Cure Wounds. This is honestly pretty good because you probably were gonna have many of these always prepared anyway just in case, so it's nice to not have to do that. Their signature ability is Disciple of Life. You do some extra healing every time you heal with a level spell, which is 99% of the time you do any healing, unless you're one of those 500 IQ people that understands medicine kit rules. Easy to understand, powerful, and thematic. Good. You get proficiency with heavy armor and divine strike, which adds 1d8 of damage when you hit with a weapon attack, which means this one is one of those cleric subclasses that expects you to be in the thick of battles and not in the back casting spells. Not sure how appropriate that is, given that I envision most people that would pick this would prefer to be mainly casters, but whatever, you can replace it with an optional ability anyway. And then after that, it's more healing. Like a lot of healing. Preserve Life is your subclass specific use of Channel Divinity, in which you channel your healer main energy into a powerful wave of petty healing, which just allows you to heal an insane amount of hit points to any creature you can see, which can really turn around a fight going badly. Blessed Healer makes it so that every time you heal someone, you heal yourself too, and your domain capstone ability at level 17 is Supreme Healing, which allows you to just say you to dice. Every time you cast a spell to heal, you just don't roll to see how much you heal. You just heal the maximum amount of possible hit points. So if your spell heals 1d8 hit points, you just heal 8 hit points. Jeez. All in all, the life domain is extremely thematic. You can't say it doesn't deliver on the premise of being the healer among healers. If anything, you could say that it's almost too much healing. It would have been nice to have something there other than Divine Strike to balance it out a little bit. But hey, if you're deathly afraid of combat and want that sweet, sweet healer main entitlement of your party needing you to survive, this is the subclass for you. A fun mirror to the life domain, side note here, I talk about mirrors in my Rivals video, go ahead and check that out, or else, is the grave domain.
But Pointy, there's a death domain. Wouldn't that be the mirror of the life domain?
Yes, but the grave domain is cooler and stronger, so I'm doing this one. Grave domain is the domain for witch talk denizens and aesthetic Tumblr posts. They safeguard the cycle of life, which of course includes, well, death. Emphasis on death here. They are your true anti-undead cleric and take a darker, spookier twist on the concept of a cleric. They are the ones that will help you pass peacefully into the great beyond, rather than the ones that will try to keep you technically alive by any means necessary. Full disclosure, this domain is one of my favorites, and I find it a masterclass on how to make a subclass both thematic and inspirational, while also keeping it powerful and fun to use. Their signature ability is Circle of Mortality at level 1. This is somewhat similar to the Life's Domain capstone ability at level 17. Instead of rolling for healing, you just do the maximum possible amount of healing, but only if whoever you're trying to heal is at 0 hit points. For example, this means that by simply casting Cure Wounds at level 2 with a +5 to Wisdom, you heal 21 hit points in one fell swoop. No rolling necessary. This is powerful, but also extremely thematic because it kind of pushes you to wait for someone to be at death's door, which does go so well with the entire vibe of the subclass. It's so neat. Oh, and you also get Spare the Dying. You want to use this. Moving on. Other abilities like Eyes of the Grave go more into the anti-undead theming of the subclass, allowing you to turn yourself into an undead radar, sniffing out vampires and ghosties and ghoulies or whatever. When it comes to channel divinities, you get what is possibly one of the coolest uses for it, Path of the Grave. As a grave cleric, you might feel that a creature has overstayed their welcome by being alive too long, so let's fix that. Path of the Grave allows you to curse that creature. The next time it's hit with an attack from anyone, they are vulnerable to the damage that attack inflicts. That's right, with some planning and a well-coordinated team, you can have your assassin rogue or your smite happy paladin do some frankly insane amounts of damage. I've seen boss fights end early and quickly because of this. It's extremely strong in a well-coordinated party. Oh, and did I mention the target doesn't get to save against this? Yeah, this is good. But the debuffs don't stop there. Sentinel at Death's Door allows you to make your DM cry by completely negating natural 20s by enemies. No more crits for the DM. Grey Domain Clerics were playing OneD&D while we were all playing 5e. They are the blueprint, the pink print, the grave print. And finally, for their subclass capstone, we have Keeper of Souls. Every time an enemy dies within 30 feet of you, you turn that death upside down and heal another creature a number of hit points equal to that creature's hit dice. So if their hit dice is a d12, another creature is healed by d12 points. This is one of the only sources of healing that does not consume any resources at all and makes you extremely powerful in fights with more than one enemy. Deceptively simple, but very strong. All in all, the Grave Domain is one of my favorite subclasses, and not just for clerics, but in general. It's full of flavor, the gameplay is fun, it stays true to the vibe of the class while, well, giving it a twist. It's just an amazing subclass all around. But you can play the Death Domain or whatever. So those are 3 cleric subclasses, but there are many others. The War Domain.
For Jesus.
The Tempest Domain.
Why are you gonna pan out then?
The Death Domain.
God just created humans, they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, resulted in sin and death.
And the one where they couldn't land on a name. So we've looked at cleric abilities, we've looked at their subclasses, and that's nice and all, but what if we gave clerics a new twist? So you want to make a cleric.
Jangale kayamane samsara hala hala moha shanti abahu purushakaram shanga chakrasi dharinam.
Clerics are helpful healers that will make sure you are in tip-top shape to fight some meanies and will not hesitate to
Call forth the wrath of the heavenly progenitor, maker of all things good and holy, to end the wretched existence of those that dare go against the holy word of God.
So let's make some quick assessments of the class as it stands in D&D. Nurse, let's run some tests. Oh, I see. Okay, our tests determined that clerics are really good. Clerics offer some of the best versatility of any class, allowing you to go full spellcaster or make a decent martial fighter. Many of them get proficiency with armor, making them great melee off tanks, but many also get potent spellcasting, making them squishier. but very powerful magic users. The role they play mostly depends on the subclass they choose, but they are all outfitted to be amazing healers. One thing I really appreciate about the design of the class is that the designers recognize that healer is often a position that most players do not want to fill, so they made the de facto healing class really fun to play. As I said before, setting up spells like Spiritual Weapon and Spirit Guardians ensures that you can deal damage every round and heal if you need to, shifting your healing from your action to your bonus action as needed. It's also the kind of class that gains a lot from its subclasses. The class capstone ability comes at level 10, but your subclass capstone ability is at level 17. The true capstone is in the subclass, not the class. So no two clerics play the same because they are so influenced by their subclass, which in turn makes them super diverse and flavorful. Sure, it's not a newbie-friendly class since you have to prepare spells and deal with spellcasting and all, but you can get the hang of it. My first character was a cleric and I have not looked back since. And I'm like, clinically bad at math. So if I can do it, you sure can. If you were under some bizarre rules and had to play a game where everyone had to be the same class, clerics would be an amazing option for that. Clerics also get some really strong flavor. If you choose to make your cleric follow a god, that's yet another force that your DM can use in your campaigns for the plot. It's similar to Warlock, where the class itself gives you some really strong roleplay opportunities that your DM can use to tailor their games to you. All in all, clerics are, in my opinion, really solid. So how about we put all that into practice by making a cleric character that you can use in your games using the existing class abilities and subclasses, but by giving it a twist. What if we took the nicest, kindest subclass and gave it a dark twist? I haven't done evil characters in my videos yet, so what better choice than the class and subclass most associated with good vibes only? You can use this character as an NPC, a villain perhaps, or hell, even as your own character for a game. I don't know, maybe you play with evil characters. Anyway, let's go! Mercedes, none of that one, was born in the crime-infested streets of a bustling, sprawling metropolis ruled by corrupt politicians and immoral magnates. A city called Fantasy Vegas. Her mother died when she was young, and Mercedes found herself struggling to survive at a very early age. That's when a priest of a fledgling faith took her in and, in her own words, saved her. She spent the rest of her childhood in the temple and became extremely devoted to the All-Seer, the god that this new faith worshipped. She was taught that the All-Seer looked over all his children and was able to see through all lies and illusions. He could even see into the future and knew everything that once happened or was to ever happen. The All-Seer knew no corruption or deceit and could not abide those that lied to get what they wanted or to trick those that could not see through their lies. Mercedes became extremely devoted to the All-Seer and to the church, and that's when her divine powers started to awaken. Through her extreme devotion, she found that she had a particular knack for healing magic, and she immediately felt that the All-Seer had given her this ability so that she would look over his subjects too. She became a life domain cleric to the All-Seer, using her healing on the sick and needy as part of the church's charity work. Mercedes' devotion to her god and her church only grew as she matured. At 18 years of age, she underwent a process few of even the most devout members of the all-seeing church take part in. She blinded herself, putting her trust in the eyes of the all-seer instead of in her own eyes, to guide her through her life. She had attained martyrdom and became a very influential figure in the all-seeing church. The all-seeing church teaches that the all-seer detests lies, illusions, and deceit more than anything, and the members of the church were certainly not blind to the corruption that had poisoned the city. They knew that bribed politicians and money-hungry merchants shook hands in smoke-filled bars and shady corners, lying to the people and lining their pockets in the process, and the church felt like this could not stand. With the support of the populace, who the church had been assisting from the start with their charity work, the all-seeing church rose against the rulers of the city. Nobles, politicians, and businessmen were dragged from their beds along with their families and taken to the church so they could stand trial. And it was in those trials where Mercedes found a darker use for her healing abilities. Torture can be a tool to cut through someone's lies, but torture is messy and often ends in death. Mercedes' devotion to the All-Seer, their shared disgust for lies and deception, and her incredibly powerful healing abilities made her a peerless torturer. She would stay with a prisoner for weeks on end, using her healing magic to prolong the process for as long as it was needed. Once she was done, there were no more secrets left for the person to keep under their lies. She would emerge from the interrogation chambers in her pristine white robes, and the prisoner would emerge too, without a single scar on their body but 1,000 cuts on their psyche. The all-seeing church now rules over the city, effectively having scrubbed it from the corruption of the previous ruling class. But they're not content with ruling just one city. The all-seer looks over us all, and there's still lies and deceit being used as blades to harm others in many other corners of the world. It's up to Mercedes and the all-seer's servants to put an end to the lies and trickery that have taken over the misguided hearts of men, through whatever means necessary. Give Mercedes high wisdom and decent charisma and constitution. The acolyte background is a shoo-in here, and there you go. You got a spooky, scary, mean, healing-focused cleric. And if you want to run her as a villain for your players like she was originally conceived, give her blind sight and some extra spooky acolytes, and there you go. She could make for a pretty compelling antagonist if you ask me. Okay, so we've made a cleric using what the game already gives us. But what if there was a cleric class designed for that big setup and payoff sort of playstyle? Something based on maybe summoning? Hear me out. Creation. Imagine a cleric that could bring anything to life thanks to their divine powers. Hell, even summon divine beings to assist them in fights that would help them keep up their damage, heals, and utility. Creation is such a divine concept, it's a shoo-in for a cleric subclass. Imagine creating a wall to block enemies' attacks while you create a heavenly envoy to protect your party. It would be a cleric designed with battlefield controlled and summoning in mind. That'd be cool. Well, guess what? I made it! The cleric domain of creation is in the description of this very video. I illustrated and wrote it and put it on the description for you to try out for free. So go out there, turn that radio on, put on your favorite Jesus jam, and destroy your enemies with the radiance of your holy flame. Welcome to the end of the video. As I've said approximately 54 times, clerics are my favorite, so I truly wanted this one to be special. It's our second sponsor ever. Thank you to Wormwood for sponsoring the channel. I hope you guys liked it. I put a lot of effort into that sponsorship segment, but more important, thank you guys for watching and making it through the end. I hope you like the cleric. I hope you like Mercedes. I hope that Mercedes succeeds in inspiring some cool adventures from you guys. Let me know what you think of her in the comments below. If you want to check out more of me, I'm on Twitter. If you want to check out more of my editor, she is on Twitter too. Check both of those links. They're also in the description. Everything is. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Love y'all. Be sure to use mouthwash. Okay, too much. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye. Mwah.